Congratulations on the movie. I really hope it's a huge hit for you because I'm a fan of the franchise.
Great. Me too.
I am curious. So you show the film to friends and family. Who is the person, or test screenings, who is the person or group or whatever that gave you the best feedback or the best notes? And you're like, oh, shit, I need to incorporate this.
That's a great question. It was, you know what? It's almost like when you watch it with an audience, you don't even have to hear the notes. You just feel the energy in the room. And the great thing is, like, usually when it's a parent with their kid and the dad is laughing at one of your jokes and he looks down at his daughter and the daughter's laughing at the same joke, to me, that's gold.
Sure.
And that shows us, which is difficult to do, we got to hang on to that moment, because as I work on this film, we're all going to get sick of this joke and we're going to question it and we're going to cut it out of the film. So that's my favorite thing to do, is to see what's working and then to try to hang on to it loosely, hang on loosely to all these ideas.
Well, one of the things I've learned about animated films through the years is that they go through so many revisions, and what can start and where you ultimately end up can dramatically change.
Yeah.
So with Kung Fu Panda 4, what was it like at the beginning, like the inception, versus what ultimately audiences are going to see?
It seems like the biggest thing was just building upon our villain for the most part. And we really, I think this is one of the best franchises ever in any animated film. And I think the reason it's so great, one is Jack Black, clearly, but two are the villains. I think this franchise has created the most interesting, the best designed, the best voiced villains I've ever seen in any animated film. So when it came along with this and we found the voice and we had the design of the chameleon and she could shapeshift and all these things, this is something early on where we're like, okay, at the end of this movie, and this is going to be spoilers. Is this spoiler alert?
You can run it after
release. You can run it after this, because this is definitely a spoiler. So for the end, we're like, okay, she could shift into anything. Is she going to shift into a whole bunch of animals that Poe fights, which would be fascinating? And we always compared it to Sword in the Stone. Do you remember that old Disney film?
Of course.
The best fight sequence, Man and Mim and Merlin. Is she going to transform into a beast of a monster made up of a whole bunch of creatures, which we thought was also cool, and we had a design started for that? Or is he going to transfer into himself, which is also just kind of a really cool trope to mess with Poe's head and turn into himself. And at the end of the day, and we kept trying each one of these, and they were all better than the next. And at the end of the day, we're like, let's do it all. So,
That's a cheat. It's
we
all
cheated.
good.
We cheated. We're like, let's do it. We're just going to do it. It was not fun for the producer, by the way. The producer was like, what have we done? We have to pay for all this? How are we going to do it?
It's funny that you just said that, because one of the things that I've spoken to a lot of people that have done animated movies, and they talk about how the shots you don't think are expensive can be backbreaking.
Yeah.
And so,
Every time.
right. So what is it like, or what shots in the movie are more expensive than what people might think? Like, is there, you know what I'm saying?
I know exactly what you're saying. The obvious ones are what they would think, because, and we knew it too, the transformation scenes, every time she transformed into something, I don't know if you noticed, but the chameleon retains her lizard skin. Even though she's turning into a furry snow leopard, the snow leopard's not furry, it's her creepy lizard skin in the shape of a snow leopard. So that was something we knew was going to be a pain, and we started that early. So that's not answering your question. A thing that, let me think. Oh, I know what it is. We did this new thing where before a fight happens, there's sometimes a paint splash whoosh, that goes through the camera, which was kind of a fun new thing that we haven't seen before in the Kung Fu Panda franchise. And that was something that became debatable after a while, of like, when does that paint stripe show up? And it's expensive to do, and since we moved it around, and eventually we landed on, we called it the paint swipe of it's on. So anytime that shows up, you know that things just got real in the fight. So that was something that once we figured it out, we started to save money because we knew where it was going to go. Does that make sense?
100% actually.
It was fun.
I already got a wrap. I'm just going to say I really sincerely hope it's a huge hit.
Thank you.